Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Small School AED on the Educational AED podcast. We're going to be right back with today's small school guest, but first, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, come on, don't hit that fast forward button. You've heard me say before, these are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. I highly recommend that you check them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to our commercials, then listen to our interview. And when you're done, go and visit these sponsors, particularly the ones you're not already using. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and if they don't see content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast. Their team will have you creating world-class content in seconds, and it's so easy, even I can do it. The website is Gipper.com. We also want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you will use every single day, whether it's scheduling, results, rosters, communication. Their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. To get started, just go to homecampus.com. Once again, mention the podcast. That's homecampus.com. We want to thank our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with great success. Coaches loved it, parents loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. Go to snapraise.com. We want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our kids loved the videos. Our parents loved the streaming, but there is so much more. Join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. They're also a great way to share your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Make sure you mention the podcast, vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to say thank you to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant AD did, along with thousands of others. And it was a great experience. It's a very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Go to ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We also want to thank our friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their scoreboards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Once again, mention the podcast for a nice discount. We want to thank our good friends at Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Whether it's more support, more security, or more customization, the Hometown team is going to help you make the best online ticketing solution. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. And we'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. You know, athletic directors already get feedback, but usually it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group so you can hear their issues, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that supports your program. And having that data in your hands is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Small School Athletic Director on the Educational AD Podcast. We're talking with an old friend. We're also going international today. Our guest is Clau Araya. She is a certified athletic administrator. She was also in our second edition of the Athletic Director's Toolbox. She's the director of athletics at the Escola Americana de Rio de Janeiro, and that's in Brazil. Hopefully, I said that okay. I've been practicing. But Claudia, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here again. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh no, absolutely. Claudia and I met a few years ago. I want to say maybe it was the Denver conference. It might have been that, but it seems like we've been friends for a long time. Always great to connect with you at the national conference. And again, we appreciate you sharing your wisdom with our listeners today. Um, let's go ahead and get started. For somebody who might be new to the podcast and didn't listen to your previous episode, which I encourage you to go back and listen to, um, share a little bit about your background. As I like to say, give us your life story in 2 minutes.
All right. Well, as you said, my name is Claudia. I started as a PE teacher. I am a teacher. I started as a middle school PE teacher in the international school Nido de Águilas in Santiago, Chile. Um, for about 12 years, I was into this, and suddenly, I don't know how, well, I was always, of course, passionate about sports, but I had this amazing head of school that saw that I really enjoyed staying after school to watch my students play. And he said, well, how about you become the assistant athletic director and I'll pay you for what you already do. And that pushed me to start looking where to get trained and everything. And that's how I bumped into I was able to get information about the NIAAA, who happened to be coming to Sao Paulo. I was in Chile there. I'm now in Brazil, but they were coming to Sao Paulo here in Brazil. It was our dear Sherry Stice coming to Sao Paulo to offer 4 courses to become a CAA. And so that's how it all began. I mean, I was an assistant AD. As soon as I started getting information that I might become an interim athletic director, I got certified, and then from then on, I've been connected to athletic administration, and it's been, let me see, over almost 10 years. Yeah, somewhere around there. Very
Well, again,
exciting.
um, a great lesson for, particularly younger listeners. You had the opportunity, to become an athletic director, even at, say, an assistant level, but, you had that drive to, find out, how do I get extra training? How do I become better? How do I, really serve my students? So, good for you, doing that research. And again, Sherry Stice on certification, they made a number of those international trips to help promote the program. Um, we've had a number, including you, we've had a number of athletic directors on the regular podcast that are international school athletic directors. And I think it's just a fascinating picture into, obviously how other countries run their programs. Share a little bit about your school. What's the enrollment? What grades do you offer? And maybe what types of programs are available for your students?
Well, at international level, we work with schools that go from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. Okay, it's not, we don't have to divide them, we don't divide them by middle school, by high school, we don't do that, or elementary. Here we're all together. Um, so I'm not only in charge of the athletics part, but I'm also in charge of the activities, after school activities as well. Um, I'm in charge of the teams, the athletic teams. I'm also in charge of the academic teams. Um, and our school here, we have 2 campuses, and they're about 30 minutes apart. Um, but we're still one school only. So it's very challenging but also great too, because I have to combine these two groups and make them practice together at least once a week. So I have around here in school about 1,300 students between the two campuses, where I'm right now in a campus that has 800 students, and then the other campus has around 500 and something. So what we do is, I'm here 3 days and I go 2 days to the other campus, because the smaller one. And we have an amazing coaching staff that we have some of them that float, that go to one campus and then go to the other campus. And at least once a week, they practice together. So the group from one campus travels all the way over here 1 week, and the next week, this group from here travels, the team goes over there and practices. And we do that with all of the sports. In, I would say, JV and varsity level. With middle school, we haven't done it yet. But we do have tournaments together. We have events here or in other schools, and we travel around. Yeah, it's a very interesting way of, it's a totally different athletic program if you compare it to the United States. Um, I don't only see middle schoolers or high schoolers. I see them all together. I see my little Panthers that are in lower school that look up at our middle schoolers or our varsity players, and just dream that one day they'll be there. The parents the same way. They really love. Usually, little Panthers practice until like 4 p.m. 4:30ish, and then they stay here to watch the other older kids practice, or if they have games. And it's really nice. It's a great environment, and I live in Rio de Janeiro, which is an amazing place in the world.
Yeah, I mean, for our listeners, if you want to be jealous, follow Claudia on Facebook. She is always posting these great photos of, she's on the beach, with her daughter and with her friends and everybody. It's just, yeah, you get jealous in a hurry. What you mentioned about that K through 12 environment, that was, my experience at private schools here in the United States. And you're absolutely right. Um, Seeing the little kids, we would have our athletes, student athletes, the boys and the girls go out for morning drop off, where the parents are dropping off their little ones in the circle. And, here's our girl basketball player or boy soccer player in their uniform, helping them out of the car, letting the little kids walk with them into school. It's just one of those cool experiences. Um,
Mhm.
Again, you've been an athletic director now for a number of years. You certainly know your way around the world. What are some things that you have picked up over the years that have helped you not just survive as an AD, but to thrive? What are some tips that you can offer our listeners about that unique experience at a smaller school?
um Building relationships. That is mine. I think that's the base for anything, like the starting point for everything. If you build relationships with every stakeholder here in school. If I always tell my coaches, when I in my the first meeting of the school year, first thing they have to do is build relationships. Build relationships with the parents, build relationships with the kids, build relationships with everyone, security staff, the janitors around school, and once you have a good relationship, once you communicate well, everything should work, you know. Um, I truly believe in that. And the AD doesn't have to deal with angry parents that much. We don't have to answer that many emails. So I really recommend, that's my first starting point there. Invite the parents to a practice, and at the end of the practice, so that they can talk and they can get to know each other, communicate better, delivery of information, just assign a team parent, that team parent's going to build relationship with the other team parents. Yeah, I think that's the clue. That's the key to for success.
No, you're absolutely right. It's just so critical for building those relationships with the parents, but also, with coaches, with students. You can't just be that person that's in your office behind the desk, and that's the only relationship that people see with you. Um, you know, the international school experience, when you go to compete against other schools, sometimes it's local, but a lot of times it becomes international itself. Um, what are some things that you use from an organizational standpoint? You're just like any other AD here in the United States, but in addition, you've got visas and hotels and things like that. How do you keep it all organized? Do you have a certain platform? How do you do it?
We work with travel agencies. We do. Um, yes, it's a lot of work. Actually, about 5 minutes ago, I'm waiting for these visas for two students to travel. We're going to Chile next week to compete with the volleyball and the soccer teams. And I have two kids that are from the Ivory Coast that needed 60 days to get their visa to get to go into Chile. And I just got the email saying we're just needing this information, and we leave next Thursday, you know. So yeah, there's a lot that we have to look into. We have to look at, like you said, nationalities, visas, passports, authorization forms to leave the country, authorizations to leave Brazil, and then another different authorization to live Chile to come back to Brazil. Parents have to sign, both parents have to sign. Our parents travel a lot. And yeah, we have to look into, sometimes we do homestays, not in this trip, but we have to do hotel stays. So we have to arrange the rooming arrangements, since we do with travel agencies. Sometimes the kids tell the travel agency who they want to stay with, and we're like, nah, we have to do like a whole risk protocol there and see where we can locate this kid with this child. Yeah, there's a lot to look into. Then we have to look into traveling with our coaches. Our coaches have to have, passports, some of them, per diems, where are we gonna eat, where everybody's gonna eat, how much each kid is gonna spend, insurance outside of the country, we have to learn the law and see what if a child loses a document, a passport, can they travel with their ID, and so. Yeah, there's a lot to look into. It's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun. You board a plane and you land in another country, and the cultural exchange is just fascinating. The relationships that they build with these other kids, I was able to take my basketball teams in April, and they just loved it. And they did homestays. And at the beginning, the Brazilian families were like, wait, we don't do homestays. I want my kid to go to a hotel. And I said, well, if you want your child to be at a hotel, you need to travel with the child, So parents traveled with the child, stayed in the same hotel where the coaches were. And those that were allowed to do homestays stayed at the homes. Now that I'm going with the soccer and volleyball teams, they didn't invite us with homestays. And the kids, the basketball players that stayed at the Chilean families' homes, they go like, really, you guys are not doing homestays? That was the best part of the whole trip, So, and they're like, right now they're jealous that they're not going, but the relationships that they built were amazing. And since it was so great, we're invited now with these two other sports. So we're very excited about it.
No,
Yes.
you're absolutely right. And we've actually done some homestays with some overnight out of town competitions at schools I was at. And not only do you end up saving some money, you're not having to pay for those hotels, but as you said, the relationships that they build, that sometimes those friendships last, the rest of their lives. And I think that's
Even go to
something.
college, share
Mm,
a dorm.
mm.
I've had that experience with many of my students in the past.
Mhm. Oh, no, absolutely. Great stuff. Um, Boy, we're gonna have to get you back on for another full interview, get an update of all things down in Brazil. But for now, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out, pick your brain a little bit, find out how you do things at your school. And listeners, you have a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that they can get a hold of Claudia Aria?
So you can email me. I work at EARJ, that's how we call it. But if my email is CARAYA at earj.com.br. You can email me and I'll get back to you. You can also follow my program in Instagram, ERJ dot athletics dot and dot activities. Please feel free to, you can also message me there. Yes, whatever you need. I'm going to be at the conference in Austin in December. Really looking forward to it. I'm even taking one of my assistant ADs. Since we have two campuses, I have two. I'm hoping to take my second one too, but I'm already really excited. And I'll be teaching there also 903 and 904. So I'll be happy to see you there if we can coincide.
Oh no, absolutely. That's great. You're going to be there. Like I said, it's always wonderful to reconnect with you and your friends. And for our listeners, Claudia's information is also on the NIAAA membership portal. So the email is there. Please reach out. Like I said, you got a great resource. Claudia, as always, thanks for sharing with our listeners. All the best for the rest of this season. And we will definitely look forward to seeing you in Austin.
Looking forward to seeing you too.
For our
Thank you. Thank you.
listeners, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say for our listeners, we appreciate you tuning in. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview of the Educational AD podcast to our YouTube channel. So we do this segment every week, and just about every day we try to share stories and best practices. So hopefully we'll see you next time on the Educational AD podcast. Thanks for listening. Always great to hang out with Claudia Aria. So make sure you reach out. Tremendous resource. Before we go, speaking of tremendous resources, our sponsors. Go and visit these companies. You're going to be very glad you did. They're sponsors, but I used them. That's why they're sponsors. I trust them. I want you to trust them too. Gibbard.com, world-class social media content. Go to huddle.com, whether it's video or streaming, tools for your coaches, go to huddle.com. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You've heard me say home campus is a platform you're going to use every day. It's true. Go to homecampus.com. SnapRaise, if you're looking for a fundraiser, go to snapraise.com. Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Athletic surveys. My school, we use surveys for everything. You should be using athletic surveys. That's athleticsurveys.com. Vital Signs Wall of Fame. You're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards? Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. And of course, Ohio University. Check out their master's in athletic administration, ohio.edu/info/MAA. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.